How come pooping and jizzing and farting and pissing all happen within 3 inches of each other? That's my favorite Sopranos quote.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that is a good quote. I just finished my full watch of the whole show again.
Oh, thank God.
It came out
what is this number, round 6?
No, I want to say 3 or 4, maybe.
I've watched
all the way
through all of Sopranos 4 times.
Oh my God.
Yeah, my wiener feels bigger with each watching. It's probably not, but it feels bigger.
Yeah.
That's over 86 hours every run through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of my life.
That's a show that I was talking to our friend Jason Cryer, who did a ton of our new stuff.
All our
Yeah,
new stuff,
I want to talk
actually.
about that in a second, but he does a lot of our merchandise stuff. I was talking with him about that. That's his favorite show of all time, and if not for my affinity for like science fiction, it would be mine. It's probably my number 2 favorite show ever. But what I could say about that show that I can't say about any other show is the consistency. There just really isn't a bad episode. I can't list, like, Lost is probably my favorite show ever. That's probably my number 1. But even that, I could list some fucking episodes that are garbage. That are just, oh yeah, Kate looking for her boyfriend's toy plane. Fuck that episode.
Yeah.
I can't say that
Hey,
about
you know
Sopranos.
what? I think
there isn't one.
we talked about this before. This brings up a good point,
Yeah.
and we can dive right into this
Yeah.
conversation. A lot of people talk about television being better than movies. I'm gonna break the ice. I'm gonna shatter that myth. They're not. Movies are better. People think and like to talk about a quote-unquote golden age of television that we're in, but I feel like you're really just talking about Sopranos and a bunch of shows that are not as good as Sopranos. Because like Rocco just said, Sopranos is the only show, and I agree, the only show I can think of that doesn't have a single bad episode. Maybe there are some episodes that are not as exciting as others.
Yeah, you might like some more than others, but none of them are really bad.
But name the one where you're like, dude, that sticks out.
Fuck that episode.
Yeah, of all the episodes, that one just sticks out like a sore thumb, and it sucks.
Hey, sorry. Keep going. I apologize.
Well, I feel like with Sopranos that doesn't exist, and with every other show out there, yeah, you can find a handful of them that are really bad, and so the story arc and the level of entertainment goes up and it goes down, and even though it hits these peaks, it also disappoints you on a lot of levels. People kind of tend to forget those disappointments and just hold on to the peaks, and I feel like there's a lot of movies that don't have that lull. They don't let you down at all. Coming to the end of my conclusion, movies are better than TV.
Okay.
Discuss.
I was going to say real quick, though, in general, I do think the quality of a lot of TV shows has gone up since The Sopranos.
They have.
But in general, yeah,
HBO's changing
none of
the
them are as
game.
good as Sopranos.
I think HBO with The Sopranos
yeah.
changed what a television show could be.
Yeah.
And now you see where it's at, and they're spending, $30 million an episode,
Yeah.
which is like unheard of. And I think that now it's on its way up.
I had this conversation with Brian the other day. I'll speak loud. So
Yeah.
Okay.
Stuff like Breaking Bad gets a great critical reception, and I think it warrants it for its A story. But its B, C,
Yeah.
and A stories that are their continuing minor arcs
Yeah.
are incredibly weak compared to other shows and film.
Yeah.
Do you remember when Marie was stealing stuff and Hank collected rocks? Because
Yeah.
I don't... That to me
Yeah.
Let me-
always falls a little bit short.
Let me talk about
Completely,
Breaking
I
Bad.
agree.
Let me talk about
Completely.
Breaking Bad specifically because a lot of people point to that as like the beacon of television. Outside of The Sopranos, they always say Breaking Bad. That's a perfect example of everything that can go right on a show. But I've had this conversation with several people, and when you get down to the nitty gritty of it, like, okay, let's compare shows. Let's talk about how good Sopranos was, and let's talk about how good Breaking Bad was. The people who defend Breaking Bad will always kind of give it a pass by saying, well, it was on AMC. And so they did as well as they could considering their limitations. And they start kind of going in with it, making these excuses beforehand. Saying like, well, they're not going to get too crazy because it's on AMC. But considering that, it's really good. And I feel like, well, that's a handicap for your show. You're kind of not facing facts. You're kind of like changing the story and making excuses for it a little bit.
So, I don't know if you know this. That show was allowed to say fuck one time a season.
I did not know that.
I did not know that.
So
yeah,
that,
yeah.
I think, is automatically... If you're a writer for that show, and I don't want to put words in people's mouths and suppose a lot of things, but I feel like having written, done stuff, whatever, if you have that in the back of your head, you're trying to find the perfect spot for it.
Yeah, the whole time.
Instead of letting it happen natural.
Yeah.
That's my opinion. I
Yeah.
might be wrong.
Well,
but
hey,
that's how I feel.
something that I was just going to say real quick, something that really extremely benefited The Sopranos that no other show that I was into, or no other show at the time, I guess, had, is that there's this built-in, again, I love Lost, but there is a built-in format
Yeah.
where you are going to commercial 4 times and you have to have stingers. You know, Lost, and not that that's not exciting, but Lost, okay, let's go over here. Yeah, let's go in here. But I'm here. Yeah. You got to go to commercial. Sopranos was able to flow completely like a film. It never had any kind of, it didn't have to follow any kind of formula at all. And that's, I don't know, that's something that I think allowed it to breathe as, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And don't get us wrong. We all love television. We're not saying television sucks by any means. But
I think it is still in a better spot than it was.
Absolutely. But I see a lot of people making this argument like, oh, movies are done. Television is better. Golden age of television. And I say nay to that. Movies are not done. In my opinion, there's still a better format. That's just me. Who knows?
That's all you're saying.
Yeah, maybe you don't agree. And if you don't, F you. You're wrong.
That's right.
I got the podcast. You don't. F you.
That's well. They might have a podcast too.
Oh shit!
It's like really one of those.
Oh.
Anyways, moving on.
We did a lot of things lately that weren't about The Sopranos.
Yeah, most of them were, but some that weren't.
Some weren't. So we should probably talk about that.
Yeah.